Hi, I'm Ken Jr. and welcome to Train World TV. Here you'll find the latest and greatest in model trains. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. And if you're new to our channel, we're glad you're here, and I invite you to click the subscribe button and hit that bell notification so you'll never miss a video. Now, we'd also love to send you exclusive deals and special announcements that you won't find anywhere else. So be sure to sign up for our emails, TW Text, and stay connected with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Don't forget, you can shop online at trainworld.com for all your model train needs. Now, without further ado, enjoy today's video.
Okay, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to Thomas Tuesday, the July 2025 edition. It's also the first day of July. It's been a hot minute since we've had a Thomas Tuesday event on the very first day of the month. So this is ultra exciting, and I know just from the guests, from what Bachmann has in store, this is going to be yet another fantastic stream. But before I go any further, you'll notice that I'm not wearing the Train World shirt today. And actually, I was not going to because it's humid, unbelievably humid down here in the basement this evening because our dehumidifier unfortunately malfunctioned. But it's actually coincidental because Ken is actually wearing the brand new Thomas. Is it a shirt, Ken? Is it a button down? What's going on over there?
This will be passed down to Kristen after today, but I wanted to get the first use out of it. I saw it online and I was like, wow, we need to do some videos and marketing with this cool Hawaiian Thomas shirt. I thought it was really neat. So I can't wait to pass the shirt down to Kristen, and you'll see him doing some awesome Bachmann Thomas videos in it probably this week or something. But I thought it was pretty cool, and I like it at least.
I'm hyped. So again, this was accidental, but honestly a great accident because now all the visual attention can go to Ken and that freaking awesome shirt. So
That's right.
That's just how it goes sometimes. But as you know, we've got an awesome guest, really well known in the fandom, especially the Gauge 1 community, inspiring countless Thomas modelers every single day on social media. Tank Engine JonJon, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's currently 110 degrees over here. So, I mean, despite that, it's like, could it be better?
But you've got all those incredible models that look so accurate to the show. I cannot wait to see those up and close. So thank you so much for coming on this evening.
Oh, yeah,
and Matt
only
Stern
of it.
Awesome. And Matt Stern from Bachmann Trains. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing all right. Again, pretty humid down here, July 1st, but can't complain overall, all things considered. And Matt has confirmed, guys, that he has not one, not two, but 3 reveals coming up.
Well,
so stay tuned.
Let's say 2.5.
2.5.
Okay, 2.5. 2.5. So please do not leave the stream. Make sure you stay because it should be a very exciting time. And of course, Ken, I'm going to bring it to you with that Thomas outfit. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing good, and thank you, Matt and Bachmann Trains, for always being a part of this stream. We truly appreciate it. I'm excited about JonJon's engines. Looking at it, it's just pretty impressive. So I'm excited about that. And Kristen, thank you as always for putting this together. But lots of good stuff. We actually do have a raffle we got this in as a return saying it didn't work, but it does work. It's just opened. It's so we're going to do a raffle on this and give it away. But it does work. We couldn't find anything wrong with it. But it's a good raffle to give away. And you got Henry. I'm sure there's some kit bashers out there that would love to work on this engine and just put it part of the rails. So why don't we put in the chat hashtag Bachmann Trains and the state you're from, and we'll do a raffle tonight, and we'll pick someone out as usual. And we've been raffling off so many great gifts, Christian. It's really amazing how much value has gone out through raffles. So we'll be really excited to find this Henry a home.
Definitely, absolutely, and already they're coming in. Guys, please keep them coming in.
Very cool.
Yeah,
and tons of different states out there. It's amazing. We saw Australia, UK. Sorry about the time difference. Having hopefully soon toddler now. The later times does work better at this moment. But every week changes, so I don't know what will be in tune for the future, but we do appreciate it. But tons of states out there, really looking forward to it. And so, Matt, do you have some pictures for us? Those are your pictures, right?
Yeah. So we shared some of these on the Bachmann Facebook page. For those of you who may not follow us, we actually post pretty much every day on weekdays. So definitely make sure to follow Bachmann on Facebook for updates. But yeah, I actually just got back from the UK myself, so I'm a little out of the time zone myself as well.
Jet lag.
So I was there for visiting family, actually, taking my family to visit my family that lives over there, and my parents actually just happened to live about 20 minutes from where the Reverend Audrey used to live. So I figured, with it being so close by, it was a no-brainer to stop by and to get some photos of his. This actually, what you're looking at right now, was his church. It was in a place called Rodborough in Gloucestershire. And what's cool about this, if you go to the next slide, or they may not be in order here, but there's the outside of the church. Yeah, there should be one of the stained glass window. There you go. So there's a window that was actually done in tribute to the Reverend Audrey and his family. So really nice moving tribute. This is actually in his later years. So this is a memorial window for him, which is why you've got him there with Thomas looking kind of sad, and he's shutting the door, I guess, to represent the end of an era. But really cool memorial. Then on the other window, you've got Reverend Audrey, his wife, and they're reading one of the Thomas stories to his son. And underneath the window, which should be in the next picture, there's a close up there. And then underneath the window, they actually have a table of people. It looks like people have left all sorts of memorabilia as a tribute to his memory and to the Thomas legacy. So really cool to see. Didn't spot any Bachmann Thomas trains there, but good to see. Just good to see the really nice moving memorial there.
Do they rotate the I guess the tributes that people leave every month or so?
I don't know, because you'd imagine it has to build up over time. They probably do.
Wow. And I guess when you went there, did anyone say anything or?
No, we were just there in the middle of the day on Tuesday, so there wasn't anyone there. British parish churches like this are typically just open to walk into at any time. So there were some workers working outside, but that was about it.
Wow, interesting.
Then we also stopped by at the Reverend Audrey's house, which I believe should be the next couple of slides.
Backwards.
Oh, there's another picture. There's a drawing of him there as well on the wall.
Did anyone write anything on like the stuff that they left, or like tributes like that, or?
I didn't see anything.
Okay.
It's very possible they might have, though.
It's pretty neat.
And yeah, this is the Reverend Audrey's house, which his house number there is actually a locomotive number from a London Midland Scottish Railway locomotive. So he had to have been the one to put that up there on the side of the house. There's just a couple more pictures of that. I had to bring one of our Thomas models to the house there. So we do have one Thomas model that has the claim to fame of actually visiting the Reverend Audrey's house. And maybe we'll do a raffle of it or something at some point.
Very cool. Now, did you bring Thomas in your suitcase?
I did, yeah.
What was like the reaction going through customs and like the security? Anything like questioning why?
No. He was an unboxed one, so he was wrapped in like a T-shirt and stuff. So I don't think maybe they saw him on the screens and just thought, "Huh, that's odd," but I didn't hear anything about it.
A ticket for two.
But this is unfortunately that was the flattest surface. I wanted to get a nice photo of him, sitting on like the wall in front of the house, but the wall was curved or had was angled like that, and this is the best I could do. And then, it's a little awkward too because it's somebody's house, so you don't want to linger too long taking photos of somebody's house.
Is
Someone
that
lives there currently?
What's that?
Does someone live there currently?
Oh yeah. It's just a regular house. I don't know if it's even really publicized. It took a little bit of sleuthing and research to figure out where his house was. I based it on there's a photo of him standing with that number board behind him. So I was able to figure out where it was, but I don't know how many people actually know that that's his house.
And what is he actually on top of? Is this like a brick?
Yeah, so he's on top of the wall in front of the house, just like
Okay.
it was like one of the end pillars had like a star pattern on it, and that was the flattest surface I could find.
Got
it. Yeah, and actually a quick question about the stained glass that you showcased earlier. Do you know when they did that? Like how many years that's been like that?
Yeah, so this was actually done in 1998.
Oh wow, okay. It's actually pretty recent.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
Now, who actually did the stained glass? Did he? I'm assuming he didn't do it for himself.
No, I would assume they probably just had whoever they contract to for doing the stained glass. Because if it needs restoring, repair, there's people out there who do that stuff.
Wow. It's pretty wild.
That's a good question.
A lot of history.
Yeah, very, very cool to see, and it's cool being halfway across the world from where I am usually working on Thomas products and seeing it makes sense because it's the UK, but seeing the how the fandom is alive and well there too.
Yeah, and if you're not into trains and have visited, I'm sure they're kind of like just a lot of questions about the stained glass. Why is there like a Thomas the Train engine
right? Yeah,
on the stained glass? But so I'm sure it brings up a lot of questions and history behind it. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
They're saying it was made as a memorial to the
It was, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. People I've talked to, like they don't realize that the Audrey was a reverend. So that's in that connection. So yeah, like you said, Ken, I can only imagine how many people have inquired that when walking into there.
So the man is him closing the shed door to represent the closing of his life and the stories he created. Oh, that's interesting. Very nice.
And then I do have one other photo that's unrelated to these. I think that one was called Ertl.
One I'm missing.
It was a separate file in the email.
Hold on one second.
That's an awesome collection. Is that yours, man?
What's that, Kristen?
Sorry, I just said that's an awesome photo. Is that your collection of Ertls?
Yeah, so that was just for fun, visiting my mom's house. She still had all my old Thomas Ertl collection from when I was a kid, so I figured I'd line them all up, and my daughter loved playing with them too while we were doing that. So it became a little family thing. And I figured get a photo to share with the stream. That was the that was the extent of the collection right there. And
Very neat.
I don't
And
know
you're
how I
looking at-
ended up with like 5 Annie and Clarabelles and like 3 Thomases, but for some reason I had those. But yeah,
And you can
that was my collection.
Sorry, and you can scan through and be like, all right, so which ones have Bachmann not done yet?
Yeah.
Matt put them up all on eBay for big money.
No.
His retirement collection.
No, when my daughter's old enough to start playing with metal toys, she'll probably inherit them.
Oh, neat.
But I didn't realize that I had some pretty cool stuff like the blue saddle tank down near the bottom in the middle is Wilbert, which was actually named after Wilbur Audrey, and is a real locomotive. I just found out recently as well. They're restoring in England right now. So just for fun, that was my Thomas collection as a kid.
John, and Kristen, did you have Ertl back in the day, or?
I had the classic stuff like Take Along and what is it called? Trackmaster.
I was mostly a wooden guy. I had like the Thomas Wooden Railway because I think when I was growing up, Ertl was kind of at the very end of its time, and it was transitioning into what JonJon said, which was Taking Long. So
very much so. I didn't know these existed until like 4 years ago, if I'm being honest.
Gotcha.
I forgot I had half of these. But anyway, yeah. So that was just a little bit for my trip to England. Figured it was worth sharing. But as Kristen said, we do have some reveals to show.
All right.
So let's move on to that. So let's just do it without further ado. Here's the first sample of the open carriage.
Pretty cool.
Barney.
This is great. See, I don't even do 00 stuff, and seeing stuff like this just inspires me to like make it engage one.
You definitely should. I'd love to see that. So we've got got all the piping and everything on the side that you see in the actual CGI, and you got the actual see-through squares on the end there, and inside you got the full interior.
I can't see this without thinking of the that meme that keeps going around with your top hat with every year on my birthday, and it's like this is amazing. I want to see this fully painted just to. It's great. It's great. That's all I have to really say. I can't even put together my thoughts.
Well, we should have the painted one soon enough.
Yeah,
we'll definitely
Matt. A lot of people are talking about the NEM or NEM coupler pockets. Is that like a new thing that Bachmann has started for the Thomas line?
It's not necessarily something we're going to do across the board, but it made sense for this model since there's a lot of open space around the coupler, just to reduce the effect that it had on the overall design.
Got it.
That allowed us to only have one column on there rather than the 2 columns that would be needed for the conventional hook and loop couplers.
Got it.
But yeah, so this should be we should be getting the painted sample hopefully sometime in the next couple of months, and then we'll be seeing the models coming to market. Hopefully, I want to say hopefully by the end of the year, but it may be with everything that happened with the tariffs in the spring. There's not a guarantee of that. So if I'm going to be conservative, I'm going to say probably sometime in late winter 2026. So that's that one, and we've got a couple more. This is there's 2 more, but this is why it's 1.5 because they're related products. So we've got the first painted samples of the anniversary bands.
That has done very well. A lot of people are excited about that.
That's awesome. Good to hear. Unfortunately, it's really being blown out by the light here. Let's see if I can get it in a slightly more shadow. There we go. So you've got the classic Thomas and Friends or Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends cloud logo on that, and the official Thomas blue. And then to go along with it, we have the
Oh, that smells good.
Thomas the Tank Engine 1945 companion van. And I'll try and bring it a little closer. And it's not going to focus on it because it's too close, but you can kind of see it there. And you've got the official red for the brand as well there on the chassis.
Very neat.
So put them
that,
both up together
red
here.
And white. That red and white.
Those are sharp looking. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, these are they're really fun cars, and a nice way to pay tribute to the 80th anniversary on your railroad. Now with these, I do have to bring up some not so good news.
Oh no.
So maybe I should have started with the bad news and then moved to the good news. But the 80th anniversary train set is not going to be happening, unfortunately. And the reason for that is purely, again, with the delays in production that developed after having to deal with the unknowns of the tariff situation. It just became unfeasible for it to be delivered this year. And with it being an 80th anniversary set, if it can't arrive in the 80th anniversary year, then it kind of defeats the purpose for it. So we will look at doing something else in the future. I'll leave it at that for now. We have some ideas up our sleeve to do some more pay tribute in some other way to the history. I mean, obviously, Thomas himself wasn't introduced in 1945. He was introduced in 1946. So next year is technically his 80th anniversary. So maybe we'll do something for that in some form. But yeah, the 80th train set in its form as advertised in our catalog will not be happening, unfortunately.
It's understanding, but so I know a lot of people are disappointed and upset, but it is what it is, and we're looking forward to the other two items. So that will be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are expected to come out. These are expected to be out in the fall. I think they're supposed to be here in November.
And that's something affordable. Anyone could grab and put it on their layout or leave as a collectible on the side. So I think a lot of people are going to be excited about that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And they're really sharp looking. So we're happy with them and excited to see them. And of course, next month is, or actually later this month, we'll be announcing our mid-year product announcements. So we have a couple of Thomas and Friends announcements to look forward to there as well, which I'll leave it at that for now.
Exciting.
And that's about all I have for new reveals this week. Like I said, it was 2.5 new products to reveal. It was one fully new one, and then two that kind of go together. So.
And Matt, I hate to bombard you with these questions because I know I probably ask this every single stream, but any update as far as release date for Stanley or Sir Handel? As like the chat's going crazy about those.
So Stanley, I would need to check our production schedule again, but I believe, he's ready to go. He's packaged. I believe we're just either waiting for a container to be available for him, or he may already be on the water at this point. But he should be here by the end of the summer or early fall at the latest. As for Sir Handel, we are still waiting on a box sample from the factory. So you've seen the painted sample. The next stage is the box sample. We haven't received that yet. Once that's received, you're probably looking at a couple months after that. So we're hoping to get that in the not too distant future. So they're coming. I know things have been a little less predictable recently, but that's starting to smooth out now. So I think things are going to start moving along again.
Okay. And then DCC Thomas or Salty. Sorry, I don't want to ask every single product, but these are the other ones I'm looking at. So.
Let's see. DCC Thomas and Percy you're probably looking at maybe end of the year. And again, they're very close to being ready to be shipped, but they're it's again finding a container and a schedule for them to be shipped in. And Salty, I don't have a tentative release date for him yet, but we're probably going to see him in 2026. They're all coming. I can assure you of that.
Great stuff,
Right.
Matt.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the reveals.
Yeah, not a problem. And if I've been a little spacey, it's because I've been back from the UK for less than 3 days, so it's like past 1 a.m. right now for me.
Matt went from 00 to HO.
Right, because in the UK they use double O, and
Oh.
in America it's HO.
He still didn't catch that. Very, very cool. And thank you very much, Matt and Bachmann Trains, for being on tonight's live stream. We do appreciate it. As my humidifier is going off in the background, but we do appreciate Bachmann Trains being on the live stream tonight.
Always happy to be on. And I was just before I head off, I just want to say I was talking to Tank Engine JonJon before the stream started, and those are really, I just want to say on the stream, those are really some amazing looking models. And even though I can't be on the show live to watch it right now, I'm definitely going to have to go back and watch, because I thought I was looking at real props when I first saw it. I was like, man, you went
flattered.
crazy on the auction.
Very flattered. Very flattered. No. I actually spent $167,000 on this guy and that, and I think some ballast as well. So
very cool. And looking forward to coming back and watching the stream later to see it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Cool.
All right.
Well, thank you very much again, Matt. Guess we'll let you get to your daughter. I'm sure she's like, "Where's Daddy? Where's Daddy?" So.
Thanks for having me on, as always.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
All right, bye.
All right. Give it up for Bachmann Trains. And also, don't forget about the raffle. Put in the chat, hashtag Bachmann Trains, and the state you're from. We'll pick out a winner for Henry. But Christian, I know you're excited about JonJon.
I'm very excited about JonJon. He's got some of the most incredible looking replicas I've seen to date. So I know we're going to be really in for an awesome treat this evening.
Again,
right,
thank you.
So John, first of all, how you doing, man? I know I asked that already, but I'm going to ask it again.
I mean, I'm good. I'm sitting in this room here. I'm like nervous and hype at the same time to be here. I'm like looking at the chat and I'm like, these guys are excited about these Bachmann releases, asking all these questions. I've never seen, I've launched videos live and seen like a live chat before, but I've never actually been here physically to see things. So I'm like experiencing it for the first time. So it's pretty great. It's pretty great.
Absolutely. So can you first tell us how you first got into Thomas? Way back when?
First got into it. Of course, I got into it as a kid. Like any kid would, I had the whatever newest release of, Take Along, Take Along, Trackmaster, everything that, you see at Walmart, Target. My mom's like, I'll buy you this, buy you that, Christmas, this, that, and the third. And it wasn't until I turned like 10 that I just stopped being into Thomas for a while. Like I just completely cold turkey. I just stopped messing with it. And it wasn't until I think I turned 18, 16, 17, somewhere along there, right? I was like, oh, let me check back in on this childhood show that I remember liking so much. And I go to watch it, and I'm watching like season 10. I think I was watching maybe the Jeremy the Jet episode, and I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. I wonder what they're doing today. And the very first thing I see is Soto's Legend of the Lost Treasure. And I'm like, what did I miss for the past 10 years? What is going on? I'm looking at stuff, and then I come across like a whole bunch of stuff that I missed out. And like, I think the cool props Thomas. And I'm like, I need to figure out how to acquire something like this. and I see all the stuff from Bachmann that gets released, and I'm like, the last thing I had was a Thomas, Annie, and Clarabelle in a circle, but you guys pumped out Emily, Gordon, Steven, I'm sure, a lot of stuff. And I'm like, I have to figure something out. At the time, I was broke, so of course I couldn't afford literally anything. Wallet completely empty. So I make stuff out of, I make a Thomas out of stuff I have in the house. And of course, over the years, I learn newer stuff. I talk to people and ended up here. So
Amazing.
It's great.
Amazing. And I remember seeing when you had your Gauge 1 Thomas video, and then you went into, what was it? Percy and Stanley, and the latest one I believe is Edward, right? You just had an awesome post on Edward, who's also sitting right there. And an incredible, sorry, go ahead.
He's I just revealed him, as you said, and I'm currently working on his videos, and I don't want to give too much away, but it's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a big one.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I see that Thomas is now a little closer to the camera, so shall we get right into him?
Yeah, of course. He is entirely made of brass. I want to say the things that aren't made of brass are the obvious stuff, like his lamps, his faces, I guess. His body shell's made of brass, and he's rocking a CNC aluminum chassis, just like the original. It's a bit of a custom design, and he is by far my magnum opus. He was like the model that I wanted to be perfect, like 1-to-1. I wanted to get everything as precise as possible. I made, of course, 3D printed models. I had, I think, 3 personal Thomases, and they're all gone now, besides the most recent one, which is actually sitting in a closet perfectly fine. I'll never get rid of him because he's my last 3D printed model. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but this is actually my second brass model. The first one I actually gave to a friend. His name is Project Northwestern, or Carter. If you ever see pictures of him at train shows or events or anything, and you see a brass Thomas, that's the OG brass Thomas from the video. And so he's living his life. He's out there. So if you want to see him, don't be afraid to look at him and say, "Hey, screen used." But this model didn't get a dedicated video because the only thing that changed was, of course, the Cool Props model dropping. So I was able to get measurements and pretty much tweak the design. So it's now, I think, 3 millimeters all around bigger than the previous brass model. So dimensionally speaking, this is the most accurate I can get his body. Still working on the kinks of his chassis, his insides, but as of now, he's my only fully working model. Henry and Edward, they work, but they still have a lot of kinks to work out. I'm trying to think what else here to say.
One question I have. So you said the model's made out of brass. What is the process as far as getting the brass, getting it to be in the shape that you desire most, and then finishing it all off with that gorgeous paintwork and finish?
It's a process, for sure. It's I have to design okay, let me restart here. The way it's put together is, of course, soldered metals, and it's made of a series of different shapes that, kind of like how the original was put together. And so I'm going to use this side as the best example here. In a CAD design software, I had to measure out on the Cool Props Thomas and different reference photos. I had to measure out the spacings between the little grill right here. I just measure out this part, and this side piece is one solid piece. And I had to do that for everything. I had to do that for the top of the tanks, the running board. A lot of pieces on him are hand cut, which was to save money, realistically. And after I design all that, get the measurements right, make sure it's all good to go, I had a prototype printed up to make sure that everything's good. And so I sent it to a brass cutting website and I had them laser cut. They shipped me the parts, and I got the parts, and I had to talk to maybe like 3 of different people I know to figure out exactly how I'm going to solder the brass, because these people either have soldered brass engines in the past or they've soldered brass in general, and it's intimidating at first. It really was, because I've only messed with 3D printed parts before this. So getting it together was easier said than done. to put it lightly, it's easier said than done, because it's like, oh yeah, just put this here, put this there. I have a kitchen torch that I use to heat up the brass, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's simple. Really, no. A lot of this is hand cut brass, like I just said. This is hand cut brass. I had to sit there and take it on a PVC pipe and bend it to the right shape. If you do it too much, if you do it too little, it doesn't fit perfectly on top of them. So that I have to make it's a lot of precision. After that, I think it's as simple as, filling in the cracks with a filler putty. I have to use a special primer for the metal called etching primer. And then the paint for Thomas specifically is a color we found, I think, from a behind the scenes image of like a show that they had in Japan. I'm not sure if you've seen them, but like the really large models that the actors would step into, those, they used colors based off of the actual model's colors. And so in behind the scenes images of those, you could see on the tin can the name of the color. I would have a Pantone match directly to it, and I'd take it to somewhere like Home Depot, and they would turn it into the physical paint, and I airbrushed it on, and here it is. I did it for the blue, the red, and the gray. And so
It's awesome.
Color-wise, almost dropped him there. He's very heavy. Oh, that was... Ignore that. That did not happen. Where did his roof just go? Ugh. And lucky for me, the 4 engines I've got here are essentially the same colors. So Edward is using Thomas's blue. He has a different finish on him, so the blue is a kind of darker almost. It's just what happens with clear coats. And these guys are using the same greens, which is, of course, the same method I use to find his colors. So that's a plus.
Look amazing.
So in addition to all that, it has an eye mechanism that operates just like the show.
It has eye mechanism, a working chassis, and it produces smoke as well. And actually, let me show you guys right now, because
how did you get into this? How did you start learning the process of?
It was honestly a variation of multiple different factors. It was a combination of first wanting to own something that was as close to the original model as possible, and then it was also it kind of once you learn one thing, you learn about other things, and then you learn about other things, and it's kind of like an endless ladder that you're always climbing, because once you figure out one thing, you figure out 2 more things, and those 2 things become 4 things, and it continues. So it would be very difficult for me to pinpoint exactly how I wanted to figure out certain things, because there's a lot of, I think my first model ever, I wanted to be a display piece. I just wanted to have a model that looked like the one from the show. And it wasn't until it was 90% done that I was like, man, this would be cool if it could run on its own. Then I figured out RC stuff and motorizing and gearing. And I was like, man, it would be cool if it had an iMech like it did on the show. And so over the course of a year or 2, I'm figuring out the best way to do iMech, servos, batteries, receivers, all that. And then it wasn't until I was working on my brass model, the first one, that I was like, man, it would be really cool if it could puff smoke. And it's a constant thing that happens. And let me switch on both switches here. Let me see if I have his controller at the ready. And I'm going to put my hand here just in case I forget which way he's... Oh, there he goes.
Wow.
So he's completely RC, which means I don't need track power to run him, which is very good for me because I built these models for the sake of filming. And so track power, it just creates a whole lot of inconveniences for me. And let's see, I can do this with one hand. And of course, his eyes move as well. Let me see if I can do the classic eye roll. Yeah, there we go.
Never gets old, man. Never.
Thomas is great. Thomas is great. I'm glad he didn't mess up just now because he is a very temperamental engine. He doesn't like the show crew. They sometimes don't want to work, and that's just the way it is. But I'm glad he's showing out for today's stream.
That's awesome.
Now, do you think it would be possible to do an iMech like that in Double O or HO, or is it too small?
I would say it's possible. I would say it's very possible, but I personally would not know how to do it. I know that it is possible to do iMechs in O gauge engines as well, because there was some parody Thomas episode thing with Henry on a late night show one time, and they filmed O gauge models and they put an iMech in that, and I was like, when did this update drop? I didn't know that I didn't know this was possible. So seeing that that's possible with an engine that small, anything's possible at this point. Anything's possible. I truly believe that.
I mean, Ken, you just saw that Broadway Limited, I think it was, in N-Skill came out with that big boy with smoke. I mean, we're at that point. I remember back in the day, it wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah, things are getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
This is good news. We can finally have N-scale engines with smoke. That is, I've never seen anything like that in person, so I can't even comprehend it right now. But I'm pretty sure it's cool.
Absolutely. All right. Shall we move on to another character?
Yeah, let's do Edward, because
awesome.
He is he's the newest guy in town. He's the one that's currently, he's something wrong with his smoke mech. I can't really demonstrate his smoke mech. I can move him around, but I have to replace his innards a little bit. But Edward is based off of the current day model that Thomas Tank Merch has, which means his front is made of acrylic and his back is brass. And of course, building two brass models at this point, essentially building a box out of brass. Let me turn around. Building a box out of brass was pretty simple, but the issue was the entirety of this tender is hand cut brass. I lied. Just the sides are laser cut, just so that I have the right measurements, but everything else is hand cut brass. Can I detach them? Let me see if I can detach them. No, there's too many wires in there. That'll take a while. That'll take a while. His buffer beam is supporting a coupling here. Authentic. So that's good. We have a resin buffer beam, and I'm pretty sure sometime in the show they scrapped their original plastic tenders to make the brass ones. And I feel as if that doing that, instead of making a plastic, they're doing that really makes my Edward model just that much more unique. And I like that. I feel like it's the perfect replica in my eyes, or at least very least model train, you know? Let me see if I can show him moving around, because I just tested his chassis before stream, and he was working perfectly fine. Bear with me. All right, let's flick him on. All of his batteries and receivers are stored in his tender. And he and Thomas have separate controllers. So now... Whoa! He has a authentic Markland chassis like the original models. So he's, funny enough, stronger than Thomas. So there's no real issues that come with having him run, because it's It's cut as dry as that. It's almost an entire chassis taken straight off the shelf. Let's see if we can get his eyes to move while we can see this. He's currently sad right now because he hasn't been off the shelf in a while. Oh, is his face crooked there? There we go. Okay.
Oh wow. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's despite what his face says, he's very happy to be here.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's awesome.
I actually have a different face for him here. So let's put that on.
Oh wow, look at that. That's cool.
There we go. That's much more fitting. That's much more fitting.
Can you do the eye roll again with that face?
Yep.
Yeah, I love
there
that.
we go.
That's priceless. That is
I loved it. I love it.
Priceless.
Very cool.
That's much better. All right, and there we go. Actually, let's see the inside of the tender. Let's see the inside of the tender. It's, relatively speaking, it is not very organized, but it's organized to me, so that's all that matters. There we go. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out a good way to angle this, but there are two separate batteries here. There's one there and the blue one right there. One is for the smoke, and the other one is for his general electronics. And this bundle of wires right here is the receiver, the servos, and the speed controller. So good thing these tender engines have space because they need it.
Yeah. And in the show, the prop was like that too, where they had it all stored in the tender?
Yeah. On the show, they only had batteries for what would be the eyes, which of course is connected to the receiver, which is connected to a battery in their tender. And that's pretty much it, because the models on the show were track powered, and their smoke mech didn't really need any electronics because they had like a toxic liquid in a reservoir in whatever part of their body, and I could never do that. So the smoke mech I have is not toxic. It is actually a I don't remember the name of the unit, but it's actually powered off of a JT Megastine here. And I love this stuff. I think I've got, what is this? Blueberry. This is much better than the other one I had.
Yeah, Megastine's good. Good smoke.
Oh yeah. It's amazing stuff. It's amazing stuff. It can't be beat.
Yeah. They better have model train companies start doing that in all different scales, like blueberry scented smoke and apple scented smoke.
Let's see if we can bring big ol' number 3 to the forefront here. I like how we're moving in order. We did number 1 and number 2, so now we're moving. That was completely on accident. Here we are. See, now Henry is about 1.5 feet long, and well, he's 2 feet long actually, and he's currently sitting on a 3-foot piece of track. So unfortunately, I will not be able to run him, just simply in fear of him falling off the table. But he is the heaviest and at the moment the biggest engine I have. And filming with him for his reveal video was painful. It was painful. That's what I can say. I filmed in I'm seeing the comments now. They're all asking about Henry. A big engine does have to eat. How else does he get this big? And I filmed that video in the living room of my apartment. And we all know apartments are not that big. So filming an engine this big, pulling an even bigger train and having them move through the entirety of the living room was not easy. So I'm glad that video's done. I'm glad I don't ever have to do anything like that for a long time. Actually, I might go back on a rule here for a second here. I think we can get him to run for a second. Maybe just a little bit. We'll do it without his tender. He doesn't need his tender. He does not need his tender. All right. As I said before, Henry is entirely acrylic. So he may be the biggest, but he is also the fragilest, which also does fit his personality. So I think it's very poetic in that way. Organize your cables. Organize your cables. This is embarrassing.
It's amazing how much wiring goes into these replicas. Really, truly
Very
inspiring.
much so. It's a lot. Ugh. And then, of course, I'm a madman, so Henry has his own controller as well. Which, as you can see by the color palette here, this was supposed to be what would have been Rosie's controller. But we're not going to talk about her right now because she just no longer exists. Here it is. Let's see. I'm going to just put it in this cab here. I'm going to put the battery in this cab. Yeah, that'll work. Let's see if he wants to perform today. Nope. He doesn't want to go today. He does not want to go today. He's not feeling it. Truly saddening. He is not.
And actually, I'm looking at his face, and I think he's got his cross face on at the moment.
Oh yeah. So let me see. What?
It's quite coincidental, isn't it?
He went. See, I knew there was something wrong with him. Yeah, he's upset. I think I woke him up from his nap. He was on the shelf in the closet earlier, so I think that's why he's not really feeling it today. You're embarrassing me. You're embarrassing.
Typical Henry.
You're going over here. Yeah, it's like I can't do anything with this guy. I do have an incomplete model that I don't really show off just yet, but who's that hiding in the tunnel? Of course, it's Henry. Like, come on now. I have this engine that I've been working on for a while. Some people have seen him just now sitting in the background, but Brass Percy has been one engine that I know a lot of people have been requesting for me to either show off or finish for a video. His video will not be coming out anytime soon. He has a lot of work to be done. And I love this guy so much. He's incomplete, but look at him. He's happy to be here. He has no complaints. This guy loves the spotlight. He is very amazing. Cool. He's based off of his what would be, I guess, his season 9 model at Hara. Not because there were 2 Brass Percys. There's season 10 one, season 1 made for Magic Railroad. So that would be this one. And I had a friend here make him a aluminum chassis as well. So that's that. It's currently unpainted at the moment. It has brass pistons. It is supporting Markland wheels, and a lot of work has to get done to this before he's ready to be seen on screen.
Wow. Very neat.
But here is his body shell. Let's take a look on the inside. There's some brass in there. There we are. He was, I want to say, as difficult as Thomas to make, simply because he is made of 16 parts in total, which unlike Thomas is made of like, I think 43, 44. But his boiler is entirely made of brass. And bending that, not easy. Not easy in the slightest. Am I going to make a duck model next? No. I'm sorry, Jack's Trains, but that's not happening. But we can admire this small green tank engine. This guy is going to be done after Edward's video is done and out and gone, you know? But I heard you guys were talking about Stanley coming to the shelves soon. And if anyone knows anything about me, I absolutely love Stanley. I had a 3D printed Stanley a while back, and I got...
And you're going to get Bachmann Stanley.
Oh yeah, Bachmann Stanley is a need. I got to check the funds, but I need that guy in my collection. I don't do HO or 00 or anything really outside of Gauge 1, but I have to get him. And in the meantime, I have to fill my Stanley fix in some regard. And so with that being said, I wanted to show off what is another work in progress, is Brass Stanley. There goes his face. Ugh. Here we are. He is, of course, based off of his current day model, which I have no idea where that is. Last seen at Nitrogen. Here's his face. This is his body. He will also be entirely made of brass, as you can see. And
seeing this brass unpainted really is something.
Oh yeah, I make sure to take as many pictures as possible when they're in this stage, because essentially you'll never see them like this for a long time. So this is like, if I was much more skilled at soldering and cutting brass, I would make an engine completely like this, but this is the most complicated brass engine I've ever made. And this boiler, as you can see, it is a bent sheet of brass. Let's see if I can show you the inside.
How do you curve the brass?
That's a story, but I'm going to summarize. Stanley has the honor of being my first and only brass engine made on the East Coast, because I currently live in the West, Arizona. And I built him almost entirely while I was away on vacation visiting family. And of course, I'm a Gauge 1 model maker. I can't just sit away for 2 weeks without building something. So I took his brass parts with me to basically do something. And because I was away from all of this, making him was, I want to say, 15 to 30 times harder than making any other engine, or harder than it should have been, because I didn't have access to tools. So when I was bending his boiler, I had, do I have it right here? Yes, I do. I mentioned this in the Brass Thomas video. I had my trusty vise. And I spent, kid you not, 3 days just taking what is, I think this is a 0.8 millimeter thick piece of brass, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that's a thick piece of brass. And I spent that time just bending it, taking it out the vise, checking it to this laser cut part right here to make sure that it's the same shape. And if it wasn't, I had to bend it back, put it back in, bend it. And so by the time I was done bending it on the vise, it didn't have sharp edges. Like, you didn't see that? This right here needs to be angled more harshly than, of course, the rest of this, what would be under here. So I had to take the corner of a counter and just manhandle it and bend it and make sure I don't overbend it, because that would have been really, really bad. And I mean, I did that, I think, like 4 times. So I had to unbend it and then bend it again. And it's rough. And I don't ever want to do that again.
That's all I just say God bless for going through all that.
Yeah, no. But it is a small price to pay to have a brass Stanley, because Stanley, without a doubt, even from childhood, has been my favorite character. Even though he was a side character in a movie, and after that, a background character for the rest of the series, he is my favorite, no matter what. He is like Thomas, but with everything corrected. And I can't explain it past that. But we all have that one character that barely shows up that we just can't get our eyes off of, and that is Stanley for me.
And one day you're gonna make all of Great Waterton and Gauge 1 as well.
Very much so. I will rent out a warehouse. I'll have a team, and we're gonna get Great Waterton, and I will recreate the Great Discovery shot for shot, all the music, all the every line retold. It will be great. Give me by the year 2039. I'll do it.
Amazing.
Mark down the calendars right now. 2039. Great Discovery
All right, guys.
remade.
You heard him.
Hour-long special. And I wasn't sure if I was going to show this because this character is also in a very, very early stage, even compared to Stanley. But why not, you know? I am Tank Engine JonJon. I love tank engines. I love how convenient they are. I love how small they are. But tender engines, I can't live without them. And one that currently doesn't have his tender constructed, but the majority of his body in place is Brass James, who was also with me when I went to the East Coast and had nothing to do. And he's coming along. He's coming along. That's all I can really say. I'm going to only show this side because this side he's missing his splashers at the moment. But we don't have to look at that side. We're focusing on this side right now. He is, of course, going to be replicating the way he looked in season 11, favorite season by far. His smoke box front comes off, just like the model. This will be either screwed down or soldered down. We'll figure that out later. This is the earliest stages of the model because I'm going to disassemble this and reassemble it and rebend brass and disassemble it and do more cutting for the next coming months. So this is the earliest stage model that I have at the moment because you're going to look at him today and he's not going to look like this in about a month.
So you solder the brass together, or you use like a hot metal iron or something?
I use a torch. It's
torch, right?
It's actually a kitchen torch because it's used for like lightly toasting marshmallows and like crisping up mac and cheese. But if you keep it on long enough, it can take brass to 1400 degrees or whichever is the melting point of solder, and it works wonders because it's a very concentrated piece of machinery, tool, weapon. I don't know. It's a great piece of equipment to have.
Wow.
And it's what I've been using for all my brass engines.
Amazing.
But I would like to say that concludes the engines that I have either in the works or already done.
Amazing. And I also spot a few buildings in the background there. A water tower, a little hut. Would you like to explain maybe perhaps how you went by doing some of those? Because a railway ain't complete without some buildings, that's for sure.
Not at all. This guy I would like to talk about. This
Awesome.
guy is a hut that I have been, for the lack of better words, obsessing over for the past maybe 4 months. And I found him in an episode in season 8. And there is only one clear shot of him sitting in, like, I think Knapford Yards. And he's like positioned in the camera like this as Thomas passes by him. And it's just like in clear focus. And so I'm like, oh, wow, this hut doesn't really show up ever again. I wonder why that is. It's such a small, nefarious little thing. So I'm like, why doesn't this guy? Yeah, small, nefarious hut. Look at him. I don't understand why he didn't show up. And so for a few months after making that wow, I'm stumped on the word. Realization. Thank you so much for that. A few months after making that realization, I went through the entirety of the Hit Era episodes, frame by frame, to look for this hut to make sure that it only showed up once. And it shows up maybe 8 more times. But if you're not looking for it, you're never going to see it. And I kind of want to make a video on it, but we'll see.
Please. You know, just real quick, just to cut you off, John, just for real quick. Yeah. I'm a sucker for buildings. I will be your first viewer whenever you do that. Those of you who know me close know that I love the buildings. The buildings are always my kind of thing. So
Yeah,
Anyhow, sorry.
it was such a weird thing to me because of course, you had like buildings that were made for certain locations, and then you had buildings that were miscellaneous and that you would see in a yard or in the side of a station or whatever. There's also another building
And
that
yet there's
shows
still a
up.
certain charm to it, even if it's just a background piece. And
Yeah.
that hut is a perfect example of that.
Exactly. I'm glad you understand.
Absolutely.
Because this hut also, I figured this out maybe about 2 weeks ago. I was watching The Great Discovery because there's a piece of rolling stock I wanted to make. Again, it's a miscellaneous piece of rolling stock. And I was watching the scene where Thomas pushes the truck of bricks into the mine and he moves the bricks out of the way. And this hut was sitting there like 50 feet from the camera in the dark, in the bushes. And you could ask anybody I know. I was freaking out when I saw that. Yes, Bachmann needs to make this building. I agree with you, Noah, 100%. 100%. But this hut appeared on the auction. And as you know, I went ballistic. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I need that hut. And then it ended up selling for like $1,800.
Yeah.
I have rent due. Can't do that. So next best thing. Next best thing. I had to build it. And that's exactly what I did. Speaking of Noah, I had him ship Slater's bricks over to me to then cast to make resin copies of the brick texturing. And I spent maybe a few hours counting bricks from the actual hut from the show, counting to make sure that it's the exact height and exact width. And I made this in about 3 days, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out. I can't get over it. It is completely made of wood. It's made of resin, as you can see the inside walls there. This is just casted resin. That's the back. Here's its birthday. The 22nd. It's legit only over a week old. I just made this.
That's amazing. Wow.
Roof shingles, styrene, and I think this is the handle of a paintbrush. This guy is you know those black spongy paintbrushes?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, this is just a little piece of it, and that's the chimney.
That is awesome. Wow.
I love this guy. He will be in every video I make from here on out. And you can have my word on that.
Amazing.
And I know that I had to make a ton of stuff for this Edward video. And I had a checklist that I have somewhere over there. I have a checklist of things that I need to appear in this video. This signal being one of it, this water tower being one of it. And there is a yard scene in the video. And at the moment, I'm kind of like building, goods yards. They're packed with like buildings and retainer walls and trucks and coaches and people and all miscellaneous stuff. So I've been like making a whole ton of stuff. Like here is a cast of a pile of bricks.
Nice.
And I believe I have the master somewhere. Here it is. And it's literally just little pieces of wood that I then casted to make bricks.
Fantastic.
These are going to be in the background, on a wagon, on a flatbed, whichever. Of course, the crates that would show up. And in the Edward video, no yard is complete without a water tower. And that's what we got here. This guy isn't really based off of any specific water tower. I kind of just looked at a reference image maybe twice and was like, let's just build it, right?
And Bachmann needs to bring that back to HO.
Yes.
Real talk.
Oh, yes.
They do.
No layout.
Many fans, sorry to cut you off, but so many fans I've talked to want that back in the line, Ken. And I'm telling you, it's going to sell like crazy.
I'm telling you. There are, I think, 3 types of water towers. There's this, the gray one. Then there is a black steel one. And then there's a brown one. If you bring those back to HO, hotcakes. People are buying them. I promise you. This guy, is
Sounds
it's
like
so
fun.
simple, but like every engine needs one, you know? Every engine needs a water tower. It is the dowel is made of resin prints. These smaller details right here, like the pipes, are resin prints. This is brass. This in here is brass. This is actually heat shrink for like soldering wires and stuff. This is heat shrink. This is the drum is a trying to think here. It's a PVC pipe that I took a piece of styrene and I wrapped around it, and I pretty much like hand put all the rivets on the drum and wrapped around the PVC pipe. And
Wait,
you can see
one rivet at a
there.
time?
One rivet at a time. I have the tool because this tool I use for stamping brass. So when I need to drill a hole in brass, and it is perfect for making rivets. I do not know where it is. Oh, there it is. I see it. I see it. It's very small. Here it is. For the life of me, I don't know what this tool is called, but it has a spring on the inside, and when you push down really hard, it makes like a little indent into the styrene, and it looks like it perfectly matches a rivet, and I love it. Then, of course, you know, painting it was as simple as I actually no, I didn't spray paint this. I hand painted this with like a brush, and it turned out much better than I thought it would because my airbrush was broken for like a week, and I was like, whatever, let's hand paint it and let's see what happens. And that's what that is. Of course, you know, got a little rust up there, got some rust down here. It's nice. Yeah, it's not gonna want to stand up. It's not gonna want to stand up. I'm just gonna put that there. And of course, another crucial part of any railway is the signals. I have a single signal that is used for like, I think on branch lines. And this one, I have a scene where I'm filming the main line and I needed this 3-headed signal. I don't know the official name for it, but you guys see. This was originally was a kit that I bought. The kit was not very good at all. So everything besides the wood is handmade completely. These are styrene. This is wood. This is nylon. These are nylon. This is, I think, printed as well. And it all came together. But what I like about this guy, because this guy is going to be seen in a nighttime scene. So, of course, signals can't be seen in the dark. It lights up.
Wow, that is awesome.
And when you flick it down, oh yeah. This is great. Yeah. How about it?
That is some level 20,000 modeling right there.
The wires here, actually, you can turn the lights off just in case, because they run off of those coin batteries. So I'm not too sure how long those last. This is what the light looks like on its own. It's like this. Little LED, 3mm. There it is.
No, that's, you know, Ken, this is another thing that Bachmann should maybe look into. They have that lighthouse, you know, with the wire that lights up. But just imagine them doing it with signals too. Oh man.
Miscellaneous railside
like
stuff. Oh yeah, easily. There's a canopy signal. There's the single-headed branch line signal. There's these signals. Hotcakes, I promise you.
Yeah.
There is the lamps behind the actual signal that house the lights.
Very cool.
And then I hope you can see it. I painted the wires, and they all hide perfectly under here. Oh, is that Merritt Train Boy? I would like to thank him specifically, because when I first didn't know anything about Gauge 1 whatsoever, his YouTube video was like the video I watched, and I was like hooked on it for at least a year, trying to figure out Gauge 1 stuff. I would like to personally thank him before I knew anything about anything.
It's good.
Amazing.
Let's see what else. Of course, I have like miscellaneous rolling stock here that I find unique to the hit era, almost. Almost. Of course, basic oil tanker.
Nice.
This is made of 3D printed parts and a 10 mil copied kit. Not exactly. Same thing. This guy, magnum opus. I love the milk tankers.
Wow.
That's a airbrushed logo on it, so it's like perfect there.
Cool.
I have 2 of these. These guys are my favorite. Of course, the 7 plank, the blue ones that appeared in season 8, I believe, and they're currently filled with strawberries. So after the stream, Thomas has got to go bring these to the ice cream factory or wherever he's going. Let's see. Of course, basic coal car. This one's just a black 7 plank. I just recently made these. This one is made of resin because I casted the bodies, and I actually have a sample here. And this is what it looks like straight off the mold. And so mass producing these has gotten a lot easier. There we are. Also, I think, yep, on every 7 plank I put their birthdays on it. Something about that M wagon really inspired me. So all 7 planks get a birthday. This guy is, what day is it? He is only, 3 weeks old? Perfect. Here is a dark green 7 plank that they made, I think, 180 of these for the hit era. So these are pretty common. This is a flower load that I also made out of slush casting resin. That's filler because it cracked somewhere around here where the rope is. But yeah, flower load. Here is a brake van, and this brake van is unique, for it has not one. Hold on, it's kind of hard to get to here. There we are. Not one light on the tail, but 2, just in case there is a conductor that is having a nice tall glass of hot cocoa inside. Of course.
Keep on surprising us.
I love this one.
That's awesome.
I have a second one that needs a tail light, but the only way to achieve the internal light is to paint the inside and outside in a coat of black paint before painting on like their normal paint. And for the other brake van, I forgot to do that. So I couldn't put a light on the inside or the light would just bleed through. But this is also made of resin, wood, and styrene. And that's at the end of the train. I'm going to hook these up before it falls off the desk. There we go. Here we are. And Annie, she is entirely made of resin, wood, and an aluminum roof.
Barney.
She also has an acrylic inside. She will receive seats and interior paints at one point. But there's
She deserves them.
Of course. She's a very high-class coach. Only the finest of passengers.
That's right.
And of course, who is Annie without her dearest sister, Clarabelle? Which, personally, I believe, I gave her this face. I always believe that Clarabelle is the more mellow of the two. Because in every iteration of them, it's always Annie the one that's freaking out, and Clarabelle is the one that's calming her down. Like, yeah, it is what it is. So that's Clarabelle.
Very neat.
Getting their colors right was, for lack of better words, painful. Like, almost everything that doesn't go swimmingly in Gauge 1 modeling, getting their colors was pain, because their colors remained consistent for the most part, but the cameras they used on the show and the lighting and the filters didn't. So there would be some shots where they look entirely like orange, and then there's some shots, I believe, most famously in season 12, where they look like a chocolate brown. And I believe the Cool Props, Annie and Clarabelle, are that chocolate brown, which is why it doesn't really work. And they are supposed to be an orangey brown, almost caramel color, but getting that specific, because there's that type of color is so specific that there are so many different colors that are a combination of orange and brown, but you have to nail that right tint, that right hue. You have to, it's a whole thing that I personally don't want to waste time here rambling about, but it is by far one of the most painful parts of making any Annie and Clarabelle that I think personally, because of course you can go to Home Depot or wherever and buy a can of spray paint and spray them brown or whatever, but to me, I don't like making them. I really don't. They are so complicated, and sanding them and painting them and priming them and making sure that details like here are so specific. It's pain. It's pain. I wish the best of luck to anybody that makes Annie and Clarabelle in any scale completely. And I want to say the last thing here I've got, well, I've got a lot more things, but again, don't want to waste time here. Last thing I've got are these hit era specific resin goods vans, miscellaneous goods vans. And what makes them different from like the classic series ones is these were like a custom design. I don't remember who designed it on the show behind the scenes, but the originals, if you know, they have this vent is bigger and it takes up a good section of the front. The hit era resin ones don't. They look like this. And I find that unique. I find that cool. So I had to make a file and printed it out. This is made of resin as well. And I think I have like 5 of these. So these are going to look good in a yard as well. I feel like I've rambled on a lot about very specific things. Of course, this is a hut that never showed up on the show, but just one that I decided to make because I had extra resin bricks. And it turned out amazing. I'm not sure what this hut would be. Maybe to store the lawnmower, maybe a shovel, a wheelbarrow, maybe. I have no idea.
Awesome.
But that's great.
It's a very nice hut.
Yeah.
Very, very. I love it.
And just very nice models across the board, JonJon. Thank you so much.
Great job, JonJon.
Thank you.
Showcasing just a wide selection of models from the engines to the buildings to the.
And I love the size of them on camera. It just looks so impressive because they're just bigger than HO and 00. So it makes it look like, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's a very big size. It is not as big as G scale, but it is much bigger than something like O gauge and 00. And you can make something like a 7 plank or even Thomas, and you're like, oh, this is not that bad. It can sit it can sit on the desk. It doesn't take up much room. But the moment you start making buildings and rolling stock and coaches and this and this and this, it's like those type of things kind of almost add up. So even making this little set, I was like, oh yeah, I can display all the buildings I've got right here. And then it wasn't until I put small nefarious hut right here, and it's taking up a good section. And I was like, ugh, these things are huge. They're huge, especially tender engines like Henry and what would be Gordon. They're massive. They're very massive and expensive. I'm going to say that now. They're very, very expensive.
And last but not least, you do have a Bachmann HO Thomas to showcase.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. When I turned 18 and decided to reconnect with Thomas, I hurried to the closest model train store, hobby store I went to, and I was like, give me that one. It's the Annie and Clarabelle and Thomas loop that's been around since like what 2001, 2. I'm not sure.
2002, I think. Yeah.
And he has been sitting right here in front of my desk for the longest. And actually, hold on, let me move these guys out the way. Here he is next to the Gauge 1 Thomas. He's completely unmodified. He's completely, I want to say brand new because I run him maybe once every 5 years. And he is practically only exists for the sake of moral support. He is just the only remaining piece of like childhood that is like unchanged. And I appreciate the fact that Bachmann goes back to other models to update them to be better paintings, better molds. But seeing Thomas as he is and as he was when I first had him as a kid, still on the shelf, still in the exact same condition, it just, something about it kind of stuck with me a little bit. And I almost want to say, don't update the Thomas, but I know every HO modeler in existence will hate me forever for saying that. And I'm like, make another Thomas mold, make another one. But seeing him as he was since his debut is just something that stuck with me. And it's like I'm glad I was able to return to Thomas in time to have this model exactly how I remember it. And it's perfect to me. It's perfect. Absolutely. I kind of don't even want to mess with him.
And as a reminder to all viewers, we have Thomas and all the other HO and NG products by Bachmann from Train World. And that's where it all begins. You got to get the product
that's
first.
Where it begins.
Get a physical feel of it in your hand. Running around on a loop of easy track, or if you have a small layout or a big layout, run it. And then if you want to go up and beyond from there, then you could even do what people like JonJon have done and dive into Gauge 1. So the possibilities really are endless. But again, it all begins with that Bachmann Thomas model right there.
That's right.
I remember as a kid going to the Train World store in New York, and I think I was maybe 4 or 5, and wow. I was just with my mom. We were driving to, I'm gonna say, going to brunch, and I saw Train World because, like, at the time, I'm like, a store for trains? It doesn't make any sense. We gotta go there. And of course, she wasn't gonna buy anything at the time, so we went in there and looked around and seeing tracks and trains and this and that train. I'm like, this place is heaven. I haven't lived in New York since, and so I haven't been back since. And so when I go to New York, inevitably, I have to stop by Train World. I have to stop by Train World just to experience that childhood memory one more time. That's or awesome. 2 more times, or maybe 100 more times. Maybe buy a thing or maybe buy a thing or two. Maybe 5 things. I don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there. We'll figure that part out. But I have to go back because I that's a core memory that's always with me.
Well, we certainly would love to have you, JonJon.
Of course.
Absolutely.
You'll get to meet him. You'll get to meet his brothers.
Entourage.
Of course.
That's awesome.
He's practically a celebrity there. In case you didn't know.
Awesome.
I tell you, very impressive lineup you have.
It only grows.
Absolutely. Yeah, and thank you again so much for coming on, showcasing those models. And I mean, obviously, the Steam team's about halfway there. So once we get to the full Steam team, you'll be back on, and then you'll showcase the other 4 or 5 of the models in them. So really, really extraordinary work. And again, that hut.
Thank you.
That especially, it caught my eye. I was like, that is such a miscellaneous piece, yet there's a certain charm to it.
Yeah, right? Something about it no other huts have. I can't put my finger on it. It's just, it's like a basic shape, but it's got a little steps, but it also has like a chimney. Like,
yeah.
What goes on in here? Are they cooking? Are they crafting? Is there Gauge 1 stuff happening in there? Is that where they film?
Yeah.
In universe? Maybe.
Yeah. And and a lot of people in the film have talked about that hut specifically. Again, it really has some sort of unique magnetism that just cannot be explained. So it
really can't be, but I'm glad it's there because maybe it's a a wonder of the universe that it's not meant for us to figure out, but just
telepathy.
for us to
That's
accept.
all it is.
I think we found the scale that Christian's got a model.
Yeah. Next
I
step,
welcome
man.
you to the Gauge
Next
1.
step.
I welcome you.
Thank you.
Me
Thank
and
you.
many others.
You'll be one of the first people I hit up for sure. For sure.
I hope so.
Awesome.
I can't wait to hear. Once
Thank
you're
you.
in it, you're never escaping. It's
Yeah.
just the way it has to be.
I get it. All right, Ken. Well, it is 9:30 where we are over on the East Coast. So I think this is probably a great place to wrap up the stream, unless Ken has something else to say. He's smiling very bigly right now, so I don't know.
No, it was great stuff, and we truly appreciate it. And great work, JonJon and Christian. Thank you for putting this together, and thank you, Bachmann Trains, Matt Stern from Bachmann, for hopping on the live stream for tonight.
Of course.
Absolutely. All right, and without further ado, guys, happy July. Keep on modeling, and happy Thomas Tuesday. Good night,
Happy
everyone.
Thomas Tuesday, everyone.
Tuesday.